Hi everyone, welcome to your lecture on properties of water. I'm Miss Urban. Water is 2/3 the mass of your cell, and most of the biochemical processes of life occur in water solutions. This drawing right here is what we talked about last time with hydrogen bonds. You see the dots between the water molecules are hydrogen bonds, and again you can see the partially negative sign by the oxygen molecule and the partially positive sign by the hydrogen molecule. Hydrogen bonds give water unique properties, and the next two slides are going to talk about what those properties are. Heat storage is the first one. A large input of thermal energy is required to disrupt the organization of liquid water. This minimizes temperature changes. So if you think about this, you will realize you've experienced it in life. It takes a long time before the pool or the lake or the ocean especially warms up after summer begins. If you go to anything coastal, the water is not going to be warm until later into the season because it takes a lot of time with that sun beating down on the water to change the temperature. Likewise, it takes a long time for it to cool down as well. It can hold on to the heat. So coastal cities tend to have a very moderate temperature that's pretty nice all year round. High heat of vaporization, meaning that at high temperatures hydrogen bonds do break and water is changed into vapor. That's called steam. So you know that water does this. If you let a pot of water boil, pretty soon you'll be left with nothing in the pot because it has broken the bonds and vaporized or turned into a gas. Ice formation. At low temperatures, hydrogen bonds don't break. Water forms a regular crystal structure that floats. So when water is liquid, the hydrogen bonds are breaking and reconnecting and reforming, and they're very fluid and they're going all over the place, and some water's closer together and some's farther apart, but it's very fluid. When it turns to ice and they harden, they form basically crystals, and those bonds spread out and they're do not move anymore and do not break. This actually makes water less dense as a solid than it is as a liquid. Cohesion is water being able to stick to itself or other water molecules. An example of that is surface tension. Adhesion is the attraction of water molecules to other substances, other polar molecules, or capillary action. Capillary action is when it can go up the capillaries. If you get a little paper towel and put it into a little bit of water, it'll soak up the paper towel and stick to other things and stick to itself and go up there. And it is a great solvent. Water is considered the universal solvent, meaning that it is what most things dissolve into. Water is the best, most versatile substance for dissolving a number of different things. So talking about these a little bit more, properties of water, number one, heat storage and high heat of vaporization. These properties allow water to trap lots of heat and take it away by evaporative cooling, like when you sweat. So that when you are very hot, it traps the heat in the water, then those bonds break and that's able to go away from sweat. Water's heat storage abilities help keep the temperature at coastal areas more stable, and ice is less dense than water, so ice floats. This is super important because it prevents bodies of water from freezing solid, killing all life on the surface and underneath. Think about it. When ice freezes, it floats to the top where sunlight can thaw it again. If not, all water on Earth would freeze solid from the bottom up. So benzene is on the right. It is more dense when it freezes solid, and most things are when they are frozen, when they're in their solid form, they are more dense than when they're in their liquid form. Ice is not like that because of those hydrogen bonds that form like crystals. Those actually make the water molecules less dense as a solid, allowing the ice to float to the top. That's very, very important. Think about if you have ever seen anybody ice fishing or anything like that, or seen the top of the lake freeze. The entire lake is not frozen. It's liquid underneath. There might be a few inches or a foot of ice frozen at the top, and then still liquid underneath. That way lakes don't freeze solid, because the fish couldn't survive all year long if they did. Surface tension, cohesion is water sticking to water, and adhesion, water to other surfaces, makes the surface of water like a solid film. That allows this little water bug, water glider, to kind of skate across the surface of the water. It also allows you, it helps you to float on your back, helps things to float in water, and makes it hurt really, really bad if you're not very good at diving and you do a belly flop. Surface tension also allows transpiration. Transpiration is the movement of water up a plant by capillary action because of pull from evaporation through the leaves. So trees are very, 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 very tall, and they need to get water all the way to the very top of the tree from the roots to the top. Through transpiration, water is evaporating out of the leaves at the very top of the tree, and as those waters evaporate, they kind of stick to the molecules that are underneath them and pull them up from the bottom to the top through cohesion. They're sticking, the water molecules are sticking to each other, and adhesion, they're sticking to the tree as well, and they climb up against the forces of gravity to get the water to the very top. Water is a great solvent. Hydrophilic and hydrophobic substances. So we're going to talk about those. Hydrophilic substances are water-loving. The prefix hydro means water. The suffix philic means loving. So these substances are polar, like water. Hydrogen bonds with water. For example, sugar. The sugar will dissolve into water and make like a sugar water solution, but they will all dissolve and break apart into water. Salt will as well. A lot of different substances will dissolve into water. Hydrophobic substances, or water-fearing, are nonpolar, meaning they don't have a charge. They don't have positive and negative ends. And they're repelled by water. And oil is an example of that. In our water lab, you saw that the oil sat on top of the water and would not go down, would not mix with it at all. Mixtures are a combination of substances in which you can spot individual parts. An example is an Italian salad dressing, where you see the salad dressings, the components of it sitting towards the bottom. There you have trail mix, a picture of trail mix, etc. So mixtures are substances where you can see all the different parts. And then solutions are when you have something that is dissolved into a substance. So it's a homogeneous mixture made from a solute and a solvent. Homogeneous means it's like the same all the way through. You don't see the different parts. In sugar water or salt water, you can't pick out the sugar or pick out the salt because it's dissolved throughout. A solution is a solute plus a solvent, what equals a solution. A solute is a solid particle that dissolves, like salt, sugar, anything of that nature. The solvent is what causes the dissolving. And remember that water is the universal solvent. So a lot of times, and most of the times, the solvent will be the water. When a substance is in a solution and it is concentrated, when there is more solute than solvent, and it's dilute when there is more solvent than solute. So if you think about this, we'll use salt water as an example. If you put salt into water and it becomes very, very salty, and maybe you wanted to boil some pasta or something, then it has become more concentrated. The solute will actually stop dissolving into the water when it becomes very concentrated, and you'll have precipitate on the bottom. So if there's too much in a solution and it cannot all dissolve, you'll have some of the solid solution, like the salt, at the bottom of the pot, bowl, cup, whatever you're dissolving it in. If it's dilute, then all of it can dissolve, plus there would be room to actually put more in. So there's more water than solute. If you want to dilute something, you're going to add more water to it.